Bula, and thank you for having me. My name is Carol, and I'm here to talk more about how we grew OSM Fiji. OSM Fiji is relatively young, we're barely a year old, and the reason we decided to form a community was really from seeing the responses that we got from last year's Fiji Hub at the FOSS Fiji Oceania Conference. We identified gaps on why we need to establish a community as such. We saw that though we have a small group of FOSS users, we're really isolated, and we require that community and collaboration that will foster growth in the local industry. Oftentimes these events or even communities that have been created are seen as being professionals only. So they restrict barriers of entry, and we want to remove that. Often data in OpenStreetMap is created in response to something, whether it's cyclones or just for the need to create a map in that area. And we saw that that really shouldn't be the case. This is where planning and preparedness would come into play. There's also a misconception of FOSS technologies, OpenStreetMap and open data not being valuable. But for us FOSS users, obviously we push the value of why we need that for sustaining growth and even research and innovative ideas in our community. There's also a need to foster an ecosystem of sharing and building skills, especially in FOSS. So these were the drivers of why we decided to create a community here. And of course, this pushed our goals. To formally establish a community, we had to develop these goals and have a sense of direction. And as the year goes by, next year, we'll definitely be reviewing this and setting some newer, hopefully more achievable goals. These are quite big. So even though we're called OpenStreetMap, we don't specifically only focus on OpenStreetMap's data and tools. We focus more on FOSS ecosystem and even open data. So we want to promote that usage of FOSS technologies and open data. We want to encourage participation within the local and wider community, again, removing those barriers of entry. Increase local contributions in data quality. So again, not responding to cyclones, for example, but responding to creating data for preparedness and even planning. And we want to build a sustainable community. We want to ensure that when we leave, that there's somebody to take over. So what really has driven our community is the fact that we have a Microgram project. We applied for the Facebook Community Impact Microgram earlier this year. And it's been running for the last 6 months, but we've extended it to January 2022. So we have 3 major project events: the open data socialization workshops, mapathons, and field mapping and validation, which has been put on hold because of COVID. We've currently conducted 14 major events, and we've seen 180 plus participants from these events spanning across the region. So not only just limited to Fiji. So this is what our open data socialization workshops are made of. We have local experts that come and talk about the work they do in FOSS, OpenStreetMap, and even open data. Community updates, and we do some demonstrations and training. We've done trainings in QGIS, Kobo Toolbox, and the last one was in Collect F Online. We also did run mapathons. So we've done 8 of these events. I think the most notable is a charity mapathon that we did last month, where we donated $200 to a local charity organization from that. The field mapping and validation, of course, it's been put on hold because of the COVID restrictions that we're currently facing here in Fiji, but we are collaborating with the local university to see what kind of small scale projects we can support while conducting some field mapping. One thing that's made us really successful and has driven our community to sustain itself is the bridging with other communities. We've largely benefited from this support, and they've helped in providing ideas on how to run our own events, increase engagement, and ensure that we're being encouraging and opening. So we've received a lot of great help and mentorship from the Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific, West Oceania, and even the Pacific GIS and Washington Council. Yeah, this is our team. It's a small subset of individuals. We're female dominant, volunteer driven, and one thing that's really shaped our team is the mentorship we've received not only from the Asia Pacific Hub but also from our network of Oceania OSM users. So if John is here, shout out to John. He's really helped bring us together and ensure that we've got a stable foundation to continue driving OSM Fiji. There's a lot left for us to do to sustain our community. We're having more events, more field data being collected, Map Whole of Fiji project that we're trying to complete before the end of next year. So keep an eye out for us. And if you want to see us, those are our socials. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you have a great conference, and see you around. Thank you.